So today we're gonna go over a game between me and my grandpa, a chess game. Um, Lately I've been playing on leechess.org because it's just fun to play with my grandpa. We had started off playing on like Game Pigeon, but we wanted to be able to review our moves. So it was either Leechess or chess.com, and Leechess was just very friendly because it's free. And so I'm actually playing games with both of my grandpas right now, or two of my grandpas. This game right here is the first game that me and we'll call him Grandpa. So this is how it went. So I'm the white pieces, and Grandpa is the black pieces. Now, I'm not gonna go into too much detail on like what we should have played or what we could have played was better. We're not the best players in the world. We're just having fun. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the game. Maybe laugh at the mistakes that we make. I decided to keep the little bar right there to the right. I believe that updates who has the better position throughout the game as we're going. So, yeah, I'll keep that there. I kind of like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and move forward. The first move played is e4. It's just a common move. Everyone says to try to take the center. My grandpa, he answered back with c5. Now, right away, I figured I'd want to push a pawn. I'm not too sure why. I think I just wanted to kind of put pressure in a different spot than usual. Normally I do like to bring out the two center pawns, d4 and e4, just kind of take up that space. And I didn't feel like doing that this game. I could have brought out the horse or the knight, and then protected the d4, and then brought out the pawn, but I just wasn't feeling that this time. So my grandpa, he decided to push the pawn to e6 and just keep it there to kind of prevent my pawn from moving forward. I think it's the idea. He might also want to move out his bishop. And forgive me, this game, we played it maybe last week, but I don't remember it, so this is kind of fresh to me as well. But I'm going to kind of narrate what I think his thoughts are and what I think my thoughts were as we progress through this game. So, not sure why I put the knight there instead of, like, I usually go f3, and I think that would be the better move here. But I must have been feeling weird on this day because I ended up choosing e2 for whatever reason. Now my grandpa, he plays a nice c6 move with the knight. Really attacking that pawn there. I don't have any protection on that pawn, so I think he's just gonna try to munch it up right away. Let's see what I do to answer this. Oh, I just bring out the pawn to protect it. So now if he tries to take on e5 with the knight, I can just take back with d4. doesn't want that because he'd lose a knight to a lesser piece in the game. I guess that's a pawn, so it's not really a piece, right? And if he tries to take on d4, I'm just going to take back with the knight. And then he'd take with the pawn, and we would just be even at that point. So right away, he munched down the d4 pawn, and kinda just, what do I do here? Let me see. I think what I would like to play right here is I would want to do knight to d4, take the pawn, and then if he takes back with the knight, I would just take with the queen. I like that. Let's see what I actually play. That's what I play. Yep. Smart man. And see, I think I was expecting him to take my knight with his knight, but that's not what happened. So how do I answer this? Let's see. I have nothing in danger. He really pretty much has nothing in danger as well. I can't really advance that knight anymore because the pawns are gonna attack it. Let's see what I do. Okay, bishop to b5. Not too sure what inspired that move. He could just kind of move forward with the pawn and push that bishop out. Maybe if anything, I might, I think I was trying to prevent him from moving his pawn to the center, because right now I'm pinning his pawn to the king. He can't move that pawn, at least for right now. Let's see what he plays. He just moved his bishop out, attacking my knight. Let's see what I do. I think the only move I can do is to move it back, unless I just don't care about the knight. I do not care about that knight, apparently. Oh, okay, so I'm just putting pressure on his knight right here. So I'm kind of letting him know, if you take my knight, I'm going to take your knight. And then at that point, my queen is going to be eyeing your bishop. It's just kind of, and then he's going to have to move his bishop again, and within that time frame, I'm going to be able to move some other pieces around. That's the thought process. So yes, he takes, what do you take? Yeah, he took my knight. I took back right away with the queen. Interesting, I thought I was going to take the knight. Maybe I just didn't want the pressure on my side of the board that much. So he moves his queen to a5. Now, my king is in check, so there's a bunch of different ways I could just move the king. I can block with the pawn. I could block with the knight. There's just so many things I could do. But I would also, if I block right away in a manner that's non-strategic, I'm gonna lose that bishop, and that's not something that I think I'd want to do. So let's see. I think maybe the knight to c3 would be the best thing, because it protects the bishop and protects the king. And I did not do that. Okay. So right here we have, what do we have? It's protected. He takes my bishop. Yes, I did not protect it. I deserve to lose that bishop. Okay. I sent the knight out to put pressure on his queen. Let's see. Wow, and he just took my pawn on b2, forking my knight and my rook. I don't think he would take my knight because the queen would just munch him. So in a way, I kind of have to move my rook. But in this scenario, I think I castle, because the rook will protect the other rook at that point. So let's see what happens. Yes, that's exactly what I did. Oh, and if you look at that little meter right there, yeah, that might not have been the best thing to do, because black is way better positionally right here. It's very interesting. So we got the knight to c4. After I castle, he's putting pressure on my queen. I just have to move the queen, I'd say. Yes. I move it, putting pressure on his queen. And also protecting a lot of the pieces nearby. Pretty much everything right there is everything is protected except for the knight on c3. Okay. And he took full advantage of that as well. So I just moved the queen to e1. It's not looking good for me right here. He's up on pieces right now, I believe. And he decides to move his pawn, which really put me in a better position for whatever reason that I really don't understand right now. Because he hung his queen. There was no protection on the queen, and he didn't move it out of the way. And I took his queen right there. Yep. That's not good for him. He just keeps pushing that b pawn. Now it's on b5. And yeah, I think right here I'm just coming in, taking full advantage of the power of the queen. On g7, putting pressure on his rook. He's about to lose his rook. I don't see any way that he can save that. Maybe he moves the knight. Let's see. Yep, he moves his knight. Which I don't think was a good move in hindsight, in retrospect, because maybe the knight could have bought him another time, because once I take that knight, or once I take that rook on h8, he's gonna be in check, and then I could just go and maybe take his knight. Let's see. Okay, check. He moves the king. Okay, so I don't take I can't take the knight, and I can't take the bishop, because if I take the bishop, he'll just take my queen back with the rook. And if I take the knight, he'll just take back with the king. I'll take my queen back with the king, so let's see what happens here. Rook to d1 is what I played. I'm not too sure exactly what I'm aiming for here. I think maybe I just saw that was like a nice area to be. I don't know. Okay, so he moves his bishop, and his bishop is doing two things. It's putting pressure on my queen, but it's also protecting his own rook as well. So he's putting pressure on my queen with his rook, and he also has his rook protected. I don't think I go for the trade here. I don't think that's something I'd want to do. And that's exactly what I did. I took his rook. He automatically takes back with the bishop. And there we go with the rook to d4. I think I just wanted to get it to a square that was available. I don't know, because what I'd like to do is I want to double up the rooks on the d file and try to just attack the king right there from the side and kind of bully him. And that is the only square that's available for me to go to safely without putting too much pressure on any other pieces or forking my pieces. So he moves the pawn, the h pawn to h6. I double up my rooks as planned. He moved back his knight to b6. And right there I just take his pawn. I've been watching this guy on YouTube. And yes, what's his name? I think it's like Tushi, but he go Blundervan, and he always goes, take the candy. So I saw the candy, I take the candy. And now I'm just gonna move forward, I believe. Okay, he moves his pawn, putting pressure on the rook. I can't really just take that pawn there next to the king because there's two knights guarding it. So I just fork them. The king can't take back on the rook, because if he does, then I would get him on my other rook, so he simply can't. his knights is protected, so he should just move the knight that is not protected. So let's see. He didn't move any knight. Oh, but I also did not take his. I wonder why, because if I take that, oh, what happens? Oh, he would just take back with the king. So I'm really hanging on to these rooks here. If you remember earlier in the game, he was up heavily on material. And I think at this point I was just really trying to hang on to what I had. So I move the bishop to g5 and forking his knight, then king. Wow. Okay, so now he's putting pressure on my rook on d1 by moving his bishop to c2. So I just get it out of the way by moving to d2. Still have everything protected. I think I'm just kind of waiting for him to make a mistake with those knights, because everything else is kind of locked down nicely. Also on d2, my rook is protected, so by the bishop on g5, so we're gravy right there. He makes a move, actually forking my rooks. I think the best way out of this would be to move the rook and put the king in check, which will also give me another move after that. But I think regardless, I am losing a rook here, because his knight can take on d2, or the knight that he has on f6 could just take on d7 if I take that pawn. So I'm in a world of hurt right here. Boom. I take the pawn, and he does not take back with the knight. I'm not too sure why. Maybe he's trying to hang on to material as well. Maybe he was more focused on getting rid of the fork. Another thing to keep in mind, and I also think it might have been why he hung his queen so early in the game, is we just kind of play at our own pace. Me and him aren't doing anything timed. Nothing like that. I helped him download the app on his phone, and I have it on my phone, and we just kind of go at our own pace. Sometimes these games take a whole day, and we're just having fun, like I said. Nothing too serious, just keeping the mind strong. So I move the rook to d8, and he takes he takes with the other knight on d2. So right now I am down pieces pretty bad. Okay, yeah, rook takes on d2, and now we are equal again. He moves his bishop. It's a light square bishop, so he's on e4. I think if I just avoid those light squares, I'll be mostly safe. I take his knight on f6, just kind of training material here, because he takes back right away with his king. And I think positionally I'm better with the rook versus the light squared bishop endgame. I have a strong advantage there. His 4 pawns to my 4 pawns. His are closer to advancing, but like with the rook, I could just easily come in from the back and take down all his pawns. And let's see what I end up doing. Excuse the noise, I think my dog is just trying to get cozy in the back. Then my neighbor just fired up a motorcycle or something. Sorry about that. Okay, so pushing the pawns. He starts pushing his pawns. There we go. I got two pawns, g4 and h4, right next to each other. He's on a4 and b5 with his pawns protected. I just start moving the king forward. They say at the end game, the king is a very powerful piece. I'm not too worried about his pawns on the left side. I'm just kind of focused on what's going on here on the right side. Right away, I see an opportunity to take his piece, even though it's protected. I'm still not worried because the rook is right there to swoop in on any pawn that passes. I take back. He actually did something. I thought he was going to take right away. He chose not to. Boom. So I just moved the rook right away. Changed my focus to a2, just so I could right away take the pawn on a3 on the next move that I have. He moves his king. I take the pawn. He starts moving his king. Right away, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get that pawn, but I'm not gonna let it happen. So I keep walking my pawns on the right side of the board. G5. He's moving his king closer. He's on c6. H5 with the pawn. He's on b6. I'm on b4 now with the pawn. I'm starting to move it forward. I'm not too sure why I did that. Maybe I just wanted to get the pawn off a light square. Now we're going here. I'm trying to walk these pawns. H6. He moves his king. I right away, I just say forget that pawn. But at the same time, I move the rook far away onto a7. I think I'm right there. I'm keeping him from ever getting to 8 now. Because I kind of want to control that. He'll never be able to cross on what's happening with the pawns on the right side of the board. The king is now stuck on the left side of the board. He took the bait of my pawn. And I take his candy. He took my bone. Takes the pawn. We're going. All he has left now is the pawn on f7. And I have 3 pawns available. His king is stuck on the left side of the board. And his bishop is trapped behind on g8. With 1 square to move, he moves the bishop to that square on h7. I move the rook to e7. Now if he moves that pawn, I'm just going to take that bishop. So he just keeps moving his bishop back and forth. I start moving the king because that bishop is a problem. I'm unable to advance some of my pawns. So the idea here is I just keep moving my king next to that bishop. I gotta protect the rook, of course, so I take, he takes, I take his, okay, so let's rewind that real quick. I take his pawn, he takes on, I take his pawn on f7, he takes back with his bishop, I take back with the king. Then now the idea here is he can never get close to the pawns on the right side, because he can never get past my king in time to, before those pawns morph into something more powerful. So I just start walking the pawns, he starts moving his king around, I get a queen. I'm really trying not to stalemate here. I've stalemated with him in the past a couple times. Not something I'm interested in doing again. Right away I lock his king in that area so he can just move it. So I have his king on the left side of the board. I have the queen on c8. His king is on b4. And I'm just going to walk that next pawn over. I make a rook. He's just moving his king. I move the queen down to c7. I move the rook to b8. And once he moves his queen to a6, it's over. I'm sorry, his king to a6. I just move my queen 1 over to b7. He walks it down. Like I said, I'm really trying not to get a stalemate, and I almost, if I would have went to a7, I would have hung my queen, because he would have just taken back, he would have just taken with the king. Right there, I think that's game. That is checkmate on a8. I put my rook there, can't move anywhere, and it was a good game. So that was the first of many games between me and Grandpa. And, I hope you are relaxed right now. And I hope you got, if you're really good at chess, you probably got a kick out of that game. Maybe you got frustrated. If you don't know much about chess, maybe you might have learned something. Maybe you thought it was an interesting game. Whatever it may be. But until next time, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video. And I'll see you next time.